Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of Life OS. This is going to be fun. We are going to be going over the productive day protocol and we're going to be going over the future sketch. Just a little thing, anytime we run any kind of course, we always get people going through it at different paces. And one thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to go through this course at your own pace. There is a decent amount of content. There is homework, but you have lifetime access to this course. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry about it. The key thing is to take action one step at a time and not overthink things and not get too worried about like falling behind or like not doing enough. Productivity is a deeply personal thing. We all have different contexts. If you have a very busy time of your life right now, if you have family, if you have kids, etc., it might be difficult to make the time to do all of the stuff we're going to be asking you to do, but that's okay because you have lifetime access to the whole course. This is week 2. So let's just do a quick recap, a blitz through what is the LifeOS framework that we are teaching you during these sessions. We've got two main pillars, which are vision and action. We have Life Compass, which is what we did last week and also what some of you did for homework. We have the Future Sketch, which we are talking about today and which you'll have more homework on today. And then next week, we are talking about quarterly quests. And then in action, we have Focused Hours, which happened last week. We've got Productive Day Protocol, which we're talking about today. And then we have Balanced Weeks, which we're talking about next week. Just to give you a little bit of clarity on what this specifically looks like, these are the 3 components of vision: Life Compass, Future Sketch, and quarterly quests. And the 3 components of action: Focused Hours, Productive Days, Balanced Weeks. Feel free to screenshot this, although you probably don't need to. And in week 1 last week, we covered those first 2 things. We did a lot on Focused Hours, and we did some bits on Life Compass, and I gave you a lot of homework on Life Compass, which a lot of you have done. This week, we are covering Productive Days and the Future Sketch, and this is week 2, hence the little circle. And next week, we are covering Balanced Weeks and Quarterly Quests. In week 1, we did some stuff, but I need to flag that this is a judgment-free zone. I'm going to be asking questions about whether you did the homework. And if the answer is you didn't do the homework, that's also totally okay. We don't judge here. We're all chill. We all get that life gets in the way for different people. Some people have more time to be able to work on a course. Some people have less time to be able to work on a course. It's all good. Don't worry about it. This is a judgment-free zone. And like I said, you have lifetime access to all of these materials, so you can always implement the methods and stuff at your own pace if you would like. Having said that, these were the 2 things we were hoping lots of you did for homework. Number 1, tracking my focus minutes every day and made progress on my Life Compass. So the focus log was our first experiment for homework. And I said last week that if the only change you make to your life is to consistently track your focus minutes, you'd probably double your productivity. Just to give you a little bit of an anecdote, I didn't track my focus minutes very much last week because I wasn't working. I was on holiday. But today, when I was preparing the slides for this, I was tracking my focus minutes, and I clocked in, I think, 5 hours on Toggl overall over the course of the day. But what's really interesting about tracking focus minutes is that, I use the Toggl app on my Mac, so I see my focus timer going up on my little Mac toolbar, taskbar, whatever it's called, like right at the top of the screen. And there were moments where I remember in my second session for the day, when I was focusing on making these slides, I was thinking, oh man, I kind of need a poo now because I've just had a coffee. And I looked at the timer, and the timer said 35 minutes. And I was like, 35 minutes, that's a bit shit for a focus session. You know what? I'm just going to hold it in for the next 15 minutes, and I'm going to get to 50. And then I held it in, and I got to 50, and then I took a break after 50 minutes of focus, and then I went to the toilet there, and that was super nice. There were other times where, like my 3rd or 4th session of the day after lunch or something, I was like getting a little bit distracted around like 20 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus for another 10 minutes, I'm going to get it to half an hour, and then I'm going to allow myself to have a break. But because I gave myself permission to only do it for the next 10 minutes, I ended up just focusing for the next half an hour without even realizing it, and then it went to 50 minutes. I was like, oh, sick, I've just clocked in another 50 minutes of focus. But if that timer hadn't been going, if it hadn't been incrementing for every second that I was actually focusing on my task, which was making these slides, then I would have gotten so distracted. I would have gotten up, would have gone to the toilet, would have made a tea, would have made coffee, would have gone to the toilet again, would have like picked up the guitar, played some music, etc. But I got so much focused work done because that timer was ticking along. So that was the vibe. So today we are covering 2 things: productive days and future sketch. So what is a productive day? Well, basically, a productive day, for me, what it often comes down to is when I go from reactive to proactive. And proactive sounds somewhat like productive. Reactive is when you are reacting to all of the stuff that is coming your way. You're being pinged on Slack, you're being given emails, you're being given tasks by the people and stuff, and you have all this admin piling up, and you are reacting to what is coming your way. There are some jobs that are almost entirely reactive. Air traffic control, for example, is a mostly reactive job rather than a proactive job. But most of us, the true productivity, true progress on whatever we actually want to work on comes from being proactive about what we are working on and how we're spending our time rather than being reactive. Every single person on the planet, every single entrepreneur, every single knowledge worker could spend all of their time simply reacting to what's already happening. You could spend your entire workday on Slack or on Teams or whatever your thing is, just reacting to what's happening, but you probably wouldn't really get any valuable work done. Having a productive day is often about switching from reactive to proactive, and that is an underlying theme of the stuff that we're going to be talking about in today's session. So these are the 5 things. Firstly, we're going to do the ideal Tuesday. I've got a written idea of how I'd use my time during an ideal, productive, balanced work day. Daily priority: each morning and night, I identify my most important task to complete in the upcoming day and make sure I've blocked time for it in my calendar. Weekly priorities: each morning or night, I remind myself of my most important priorities for the week and check in with how they're going. 4 hours: I regularly protect 3 to 5 hours per workday of time where I can focus on my most important projects and tasks with minimal interruptions. And then shut down ritual I have a personal shutdown ritual which I follow consistently at the end of each workday for drawing a clear boundary between work and life. So these are the 5 components to the productive day protocol, which is part of LifeOS. LifeOS is meant to be a platform agnostic system. You can bring your own tool, you can bring your own system, but if you incorporate any or ideally all of these components into your own life operating system, I guarantee it will completely move the needle for how productive you're being, how focused you feel, how calm you feel, and how successful you feel, and how much you're actually achieving the goals that matter to you.